The Wild Robot. Are you going to take it home? Are you going to leave it at grandma's? Are you going to hide it in the attic? Hello. Please come in. There's some fresh cookies in the cookie jar. There's a pitcher of Kool-Aid on the counter. Have a seat. We'll put a movie on for you. This is Movies at Grandma's House, where we look at the movies from the past to see if they're good by our modern eyes and Grandma approves. And I'm your host, Isaac. To survive, we must become something more than we were programmed to be. And who's joining me for the coverage of the movie The Wild Robot?
This is Seth. When you grow up without something, you end up spending a lot of time thinking about it.
It is great to see you. How you feeling?
I'm doing pretty well today. Keeping a positive attitude and just looking forward to this.
That's great. I'm excited to cover this movie because I've heard so many great things about this film, and it was before I got a chance to watch it. I didn't, not to get too far ahead, I didn't get a chance to watch this movie, but in theaters. But a lot of people were talking about this film, and big thank you again to you, the listener. You guys voted for this. So we're excited to be covering it because there's been a lot of hype with this movie, and we get to dive into it, really talk about the details of this. And we mentioned we put those polls out weekly. So be sure you're up to date on our polls so you can give your voice to our polls, because we like to leave it up to you guys. So again, big thank you to you guys for voting for this film on covering on Movies at Grandma's House. But real quick, we just want some quick reminders. If you like visiting Grandma's house, be sure you smash that like, subscribe, notify bell, all that good stuff. And again, we're going to be talking about the film in detail. So if you've not seen this movie, please stop what you're doing, go watch it right now, and then come on back, because we're going to have a fun time with a little movie called The Wild Robot. So this is a more recent film, one that we're covering. It came back on September 27th, 2024. It had a budget of $80 million. Ooh, the box office, $333.7 million. And why I kind of go, ooh, is I heard some about this film, but I didn't think it was like a big hit. But if you look at the box office numbers, it did pretty well for itself, considering all things. Quick glance at just the reviews. It's got some really positive reviews going on. 8.2 from IMDb, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 88% for Google users. So overall, just positive, good stuff. And like we mentioned, this has been a film I've heard a lot of hype, a lot of people talking about. When are you guys going to cover this movie? So here we are. We normally like to say, what are your first memories? So maybe, since this is more on the recent side, what do you remember about this film, maybe around the time it came out? Do you have any of those kind of memories?
I only saw the trailer maybe a couple times. I feel like it was more after the movie was already out. Like you mentioned, it's not any memories with this one. It's a fresh watch. So I just had heard a lot of good things, and we'll get into that for sure.
Yeah. Same thing. I saw maybe the trailer once, but I wasn't really aware of it. And then I think once it got to streaming, more of the home media, I was hearing nothing but like, oh, this is a great movie. You gotta watch it. So that's kind of my first memory of it. Again, fairly recent, within the last year or so. But with that said, I'm interested to hear, what were your expectations on going and watching this?
So I tried to keep them level. I had, like you, had heard so many good things. So it's like trying to keep a balanced view of, fighting through all the things that you've heard about it already. So it's an interesting setting for this one.
Right with you. It's just, I want to keep the hype level. There's been so many times somebody's hyped up a movie for me and I go to watch it and I'm like, that was okay. And some of it I wonder is like, did I hype myself up too much? So I was trying to keep it level. But also I was like, I've heard good things of being family friendly, something that the kids can enjoy. So I was excited to see, as usual, a movie that I can watch with my kids and see what kind of reaction they would have in that way too. Well, before we get to our plot rewind, let's pause just a moment to hear from our sponsors.
Love movies as much as we do? Bring the experience of the big screen to your walls with movieposters.com. Whether you're into classics, blockbusters, or indie gems, they've got something for every film fanatic. As a listener of our podcast, you can get 15% off your order now. Just use code Grandma's House 15 at checkout. Head to movieposters.com and let's build your ultimate collection today.
So since this is a fairly recent movie, you can actually, as of this recording, see it on Peacock for free if you are subscribed to them. So let's pull up the streaming for Peacock. Let's select Wild Robot and press play.
After a shipwreck, an intelligent robot named Roz is marooned on an uninhabited island. To survive the harsh environment, Roz bonds with the island's native animals. In this touching, heartfelt movie, we learn that kindness is key. Put on your pajamas, grab your popcorn at Grandma's house.
Very nice. I'm just kind of blown away overall when I was watching this. My impressions of the animation, this again is a newer movie, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts. What's your first impressions as you're watching this film?
I think we're on the same wavelength. So in my notes, I said the animation was very impressive. It's actually mind-blowing, really. The dialogue is a bit rushed, but they probably had to quicken the pace because of how long the movie was. That sometimes happens with animated pictures. So I did feel like a little bit of the dialogue at the beginning was a little rushed, but then it started to ease its way and relax into the rest of the film. So the animation really took me aback, for sure.
It's just really mesmerizing at times. I got to hand it to modern technology when it comes to CGI. I'm a traditionalist. I like hand-drawn, but I can appreciate CGI. Like I can like it just as much as hand-drawn, actually. But this is one of them. Like I was really impressed just how beautiful it can be. And they kind of have shots like that. They're trying to showcase. I'm thinking of a time Roz comes out and there's like petals or very colorful coming out, stuff like that. I mean, it's so pretty. It's great to look at alone, but there's so much more to this movie. This isn't just a pretty picture either. It's just chock full of characters. I don't know if you want to open that up of just characters. I mean, there's so many. Maybe just start with Roz. What do you think of the main character, Roz?
Roz was interesting because it was like a human being almost. And you kind of took a little while for me anyway to warm up to the character. And once I did, I started to see that it wanted to really help things. And that was just heartwarming. And that's all I can say about Roz. I mean, what is there else to say?
It's so fun to watch Roz adapt to the environment because it's just like a robot. I mean, in her environment, she's very straightforward of what can I do for you? What requests do you have? And all it's just animals. And that's what is also about this film we'll touch on more is the humor. You know, seeing that interaction with the animals is just hilarious at the beginning. They're just like scurrying away in terror. And she's just like, what's wrong? I want to get, your request. And she's just desperate to find someone. Like, I can't fulfill this until someone gives me a request. And that's another kind of a sidetrack of it. Did this remind you of Baymax a little bit from Big Hero 6?
I don't think I made that comparison, but now that you say it, it kind of does a little bit. Yeah.
Kind of sidestepping there, but it the same kind of humor. Like Baymax is very...
Earmark that. We should cover that one, by the way.
Absolutely. Yes. We'll put that out to you guys. Comment below if that's something you want us to cover, Big Hero 6. Because that was just kind of a side note. I wanted to bring that out is I got Baymax vibes, but this was still its own thing. This wasn't like it was copying it. I just got those vibes of that humor, which I love. I love that humor.
Yeah.
And I was laughing hysterically. What are some other characters? I mean, again, there's a long list of them.
So I felt Roz and the animals were just very entertaining. The visuals in themselves were a character. I really liked the fox. There's something about the way they animated it. It made it look very appealing and humorous.
Yes. I mean, the fox is kind of, would you say, like secondary character, voiced by Pedro Pascal. He's huge. He's kind of that star right now, but he does a tremendous job. I loved his voice as the fox, and he's great character. Just awesome because he's still that fox, but also starts to support as time goes on, as Roz is adapting now, not becoming so much of this robot, but actually a person, and has feelings, has these emotions. Going along with the plot, accidentally this family of goose or geese, if I can speak properly in grammar, geese, gets taken out by Roz, but there's this gosling that survives, and Roz then raises it and teaches it, and that's what the driving force of this plot is. How is this gosling going to migrate? How is it going to grow up and survive? Because it's kind of this runt that survived somehow. Lot of morals to the story, and we'll get back to that. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of that, going back to Fink, I think is his name, the fox. He's kind of that supportive role, but he's really sly. He's like trying to eat some of the animals there. It's great humor. Great humor. I love that. I'll just bring out, I'm a big Mark Hamill fan. I mean, he was obviously Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars series, but he's made a whole other career in voice acting, and he played Thorn the grizzly bear. Oh, I love it. I'm just like, anything with Mark Hamill, you got my attention, and he just plays Thorn so well. What'd you think of his character?
Oh, all of the characters were adorable. I mean, this is one of those movies that really touches you. It's hard not to fall in love very quickly. And I think the animation really sets that tone. The plot as well. I'm going to seem like I'm going up and down, but I'm not. So maybe just for me, like a little bit, the plot seemed to take a while to actually take like footing. But that's not complaining. I just noticed that the subplots were a lot of action to get to the main story, which I don't have a problem with. It's just something I noticed, like that was their style to get into the main story. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you're establishing the characters, you're building on a personality for each one, and seeing what their makeup is.
I agree with that. No, it's not I would say a perfect movie, but it's really good. It's just well crafted. It's got, I don't know, like you said, it draws you in. It makes you love the characters, the plot. It has its spottiness to it. I kind of agree with you on that. It might not be smooth sailings, but the plot is also kind of that way. It's
Yes.
about this robot adapting. So it kind of fits that mold, if that makes sense. And it works for me, but I wouldn't say it's perfect either. I agree with you on that. It kind of takes that time to get going. By the time there's a point where Roz builds this shelter, and that's where they kind of house to train the, he ends up being Bright Bill, the runt goose that she's raising. By that point, I think it really started to hit its stride. Like it was kind of a slow build, and it wasn't bad. It really took off. I think it's like if you can really stick out to that point, you'll be engaged. It's really well done on that way. On the writing side of it, you'll just be hooked, I think. I mean, I mentioned Mark Hamill. You got Bill Nighy as Longneck. He's kind of that older goose that helps Bright Bill along. You've got Ving Rhames as this Falcon, which I loved his. I mean, there's so many. We could go on and on about. I don't know. My kids asked me who their favorite was. All of theirs was the fox. They liked Fink. But I guess I'll ask you that question. What was your favorite character?
Oh, that's a hard question. I would say it was split between Roz and the fox. I really, there's something about Roz. I want to say about halfway in the movie that you just like fall in love with their character.
Yeah. That's really the strength of this movie. That I think you can go through and everybody be like, I could see that. Like my favorite is the beaver. Paddler, I think was his name. He's he's just that every character has its own little thing going on. You could almost develop it into its own story if you wanted to. They have their own thing going on. He's trying to get through this big tree, and it pays off at the end on the plot. But yeah, it's so great with the characters. We touched on the animation also kind of adds to that too. I would say the animation on their character, how they look, how they interact, and their mannerisms. I just love that. It's such a fun movie in that way. What else comes to your mind though? I'll just leave it open to you when you're looking at this movie as a whole. There's so much to talk about, but other thing with the characters, anything to add?
With the characters, they're just so engaging. Again, I have to hammer it home. The animation just makes them lifelike. It makes them interesting. It makes them worthy of your attention. And so it's just really well done. Just really well done.
I agree. It also kind of goes along with the characters, how they are. There's a lot of good quotes in this movie too. And we've talked about how we enjoy good quotes in a movie. This is no different, I would say. And maybe it's not right there in your face, but if you are able to pick up on them, it's really, really clever. I would think. What'd you think about like the writing, the quotes, those types of things?
Well, so you mentioned the quotes. The writing for this movie is pretty strong, very strong. I had a couple of quotes that I liked. The first one was, "I'm a fox. I do foxy things. It's in my nature." And the other I found entertaining was, "Eating the task is not the same as completing the task."
Yeah, there's a lot of funny. We didn't touch on it, but the possum character and with all her kids, I know I've heard a lot of mothers relate to that possum of just the interaction. There's so many quotes I can't remember off the top of my head, but I was dying laughing at some of her quotes. They were just hilarious.
Yeah.
And just the interaction that they have. There's a lot of funny quotes, but there's also some very deep quotes. Did you catch those as well?
Yeah, I didn't make note of any of them other than the opening quote I used. But yes, there was a lot of balanced dialogue. I felt like it was very fitting to whatever they were doing in the movie, and it just complemented the animation and the characters and everything. And there's not really a real strong weakness in this picture, if I could, say so myself.
I agree with you. Yeah, the quotes are. If you've seen this movie and maybe you didn't catch them, it's worth a rewatch that alone. Because like I said, the quotes aren't really like in your face, but if you pick up on them, you'll be kind of like, wow, that's really cool. One quote that's more on the deeper side, because I like funny quotes, but I also can appreciate just well written quotes. One was, "What happened?" They're telling Roz, "What happened was not your fault, but what you did to try to fix it is everything." That's just like, wow. That can be on so many levels. That can apply to so many different people. I love the quote, "Fly like you, not like them." That's another one.
Yeah.
It's very deeper, but it fits. It's not forced, if that makes sense. And that's maybe why I appreciate it, is it's not in your face. It's not this forced quotes, and it goes right along with it. It's just, that's the part I think that is smooth about it, is the writing is just, I'll give them 2 thumbs up on. Like they had some really good writers on this film. And I would just recommend, if you didn't catch them all, that's worth the rewatch. Again, the animation is terrific. The fun you're going to have with this movie alone is great. But yeah, it's just a good time. It's like you said, spoil it. There's not very many flaws in this movie. I agree with that. So, but I'm interested to hear anything else or fun facts, all that good stuff. What would you like to add?
I've got a couple of fun facts. Fun fact number 1. This was Catherine O'Hara's second DreamWorks animated movie, the first being Over the Hedge. So that is, very cool.
Man, That's another one we might have to leave up to one. Just comment below if you want.
Love that movie.
I would love to consider that. Yeah, comment below if that's one that you want us to cover, because I think that's one I need to revisit, honestly. But that's really cool. I like that.
So the second fun fact, I'm sure you noticed, Lupita Nyong'o, Mark Hamill, and Pedro Pascal were all involved in the Star Wars franchise as well.
Yep. Yeah, you can kind of pick up on that. Like, there's as that universe is growing, that production, all those spin-offs, but still, that's really cool. Like, just to be able to connect the dots. I like that.
Yeah. And that brings us to, it's time for our fun fact trivia question. So, the director took inspiration for some of the animals from what pet? A bird, B, Bengal cat, or C, a turtle?
Ooh, so you're talking like all the animals in general, or?
So the director actually took inspiration from a pet animal that he owned.
I gotcha. Okay.
You want me to go over the options again?
One more time. Sorry, I'm slow.
A bird, B, a Bengal cat, or C, a turtle?
I almost want to say a Bengal cat, because that would be crazy if you had one, right?
It is C, a turtle.
Okay.
Now, there were a lot of inspirations for like the animation and things, but the director took a lot of his inspiration from his pet. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool. I was kind of leaning, I was like, I'm wondering if it was a tiger, but I could see that with a turtle. And
I'm not sure what I would give you if you won. So I didn't play that far ahead.
That could be something we decide later. Yeah. I like that. We're going to start having a little fun with the trivia. So you listener, feel free to play along, because we're going to have some fun little trivia thrown in, and that's along with Seth's fun facts. So, all right. Well, before we get to our reviews, our ratings, we also like to look around and see what kind of reviews are out there on the net. So, Seth, what kind of reviews are you seeing out there?
Our first review I found was Beach Love 84 says, the best animated film I've ever seen, 10 out of 10.
That's the kind of praise I was hearing about, though. So that sounds about right from what I was hearing when this came out. Yeah.
The second was Gordon Shumway said 86 said, absolutely and breathtakingly incredible, 10 out of 10.
Back to back 10s. I'm interested to hear now for the third one. Is it going to be a turkey?
So Katybug-49971 says, if you want to cry happy tears and feel a big ball of love and happiness, then this is the movie for you, 9 out of 10.
Right. There. That's what I was hearing a lot of, especially if you have kids, this has a lot of those, like we talked about, the quotes and things. So it is an emotional journey. Like, regardless if you don't even have to have kids. I'm not saying that, but I know some parents were like, you're going to be a wreck after this movie, in a good way. You know, it's got some good morals and good message behind it, like we talked about. All right. Well, we've heard a little bit from the net, so let's get down to it. So, Seth, got to ask you, as I always do, how are you going to rate The Wild Robot? Are you going to take it home? Are you going to leave it at grandma's? Are you going to hide it in the attic?
So I'll say real quickly, it's cute in a sort of different way than normal animated films. It reaches your heart by its visuals. It pulls at your heartstrings throughout. That being said, with strong visuals, the animation being breathtaking, I can't do anything but take this home.
Don't fault you at all. I'm just going to kind of lean into your thoughts there. No spoilers or no hesitation. This is a take it home. There's so few parts. There's some intense elements. There's some things here and there. But this is a family movie. Just get the kids, get grandma, get everybody in on this. It's a fun movie to just watch as a family. Like there's a lot of death. That's kind of the thing that I would maybe be a little hesitant on. Just be aware of. It's animals though. It's like I think of growing up, I watched Nova. It was on PBS, and there'd be a lion tearing a zebra apart, and it would not maybe show everything, but it was pretty graphic. I thought even as a kid, like, wow, but it's also showing you that's what nature is. That's what this, maybe there's some concerns. I talked to you about before recording. There's a part where the fox does push a crab into this boiling water, and the crab, it's kind of like, oh my goodness, it's boiling alive and kind of has these screams. And the fox, Fink, he just, next scene, he's eating it. But that's that it's a kind of a good teaching moment, I guess, if you want to look at it for younger audiences of, that's kind of the theming of this movie is the wildlife, the environment that they're in, surviving. So just be aware of that. But otherwise, this is a take it home. The visuals are stunning, animation, the writing is fantastic. The casting, I mean, just go down the line. It hits top notch, nearly, if not flawlessly, on all those things. So, kind of touched on a little bit, but we still have to get Grandma's thoughts. So, what is Granny's family-friendly rating for The Wild Robot?
Granny's family-friendly rating is a B+, recommended for all ages.
Yep. So there you go. Just, again, little caution of be aware, just nature and all that. But otherwise, this is a fantastic time for the family. Well, there you have it, folks. Another movie is in the books. But before we wrap things up, Seth, why don't you tell people where they can find and connect with us?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can email us at movies@grandmashouse@gmail.com. We are on Patreon, so check us out, become a member, and stay up to date. Go to movieposters.com and type Grandma's House 15 at checkout for 15% off.
There you go. And check out the newsletter, because we have exciting news we're going to have where you can pick one poster up to $25 if you win the contest. We're doing that again. We did it last month. So much fun. We did it on a live recap like we do every month. So be sure you're on our newsletter. Be sure you're subscribed, because it's going to be on March 31st at 7:30 p.m. We're going to reveal the winner of that contest. And we also have a Funko Pop. Kind of put you on the spot a little bit, Seth. Do you want to reveal what the Funko Pop is that we're giving away this month?
I can try to do it without knocking everything over.
It's almost like we need a drum roll for this, but this is
very
the
fitting
Funko
for this month. Very fitting for this month.
For this month. There it is. What is it, Seth?
Fievel.
Fievel. We covered Fievel Goes West, so how fitting. He can be yours. All you got to do is be on our newsletter. You're automatically entered in. And what's so great about our newsletter is you never have to register again. You're always entered into our contest each and every month. So if you don't win the movieposters.com poster, that is also our runner-up. I kind of almost want to order myself one now, Seth. That looks fantastic. I'm a Fievel fan, so that looks awesome. That's great. So yeah, all good stuff. We, again, thank you so much for being a listener, for being a subscriber, a follower, and all that good stuff. We'd love to hear from you too. So comment below your memories with this film and any other films you'd like for us to cover. Keep up to date with our polls and all that good stuff. Well, that'll do it for our time at Grandma's, but don't worry, we will be back soon. So in the meantime, remember to be kind and rewind. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.